Hey guys, it is the Sellsword crew who are kind of producers behind MinMaxed.
We were informed that there's been a video about MinMax that we feel like we need to talk about.
Yeah, it's a little bit harsh, it's got some criticisms, and we think that we should talk about it. We talked to the cast, we talked to the crew, and they all said that it's a good idea to address it because if there are even a couple of fans out there who feel like they didn't get what they paid for, we want to talk to you. We want to make sure that you know why we made the decisions we did. So for that, we're gonna dive in.
To start, I think it's important to look at what we promised.
So let's look at this video.
Let's talk about the announcement video, because I feel like that is very important because that is why people donate.
But everybody lives in different time zones and has different schedules, and that's complicated. So I invited everybody over to my house, studio.
We think playing normal D&D would be boring, and we know you want to see us as D&D characters.
So we're gonna play ourselves.
We want to do some really cool things like build a set.
And have a cool video setup with cool angles and stuff.
Buy me a flight so I don't have to swim.
Make cool character art of us, and minis.
And if things go well, we'll even do a second campaign.
So here's the things that we promised. To get our friends together, play a game of D&D, and share it with you.
And if things went well, we were going to do even more.
Those things included having a set, having character art, doing a camera setup where we can see all of us on screen, and also having multiple seasons, which is something that is in the works.
So now that we've talked about that, let's look at the criticisms of this video.
So this first slide is their layout. $100,000. These creators, the creators that people wanted to see play together are so little.
If we're understanding correctly, it seems this creator thinks that our layout wasn't very good.
We had a 4-camera setup so we could catch everybody at the table and all the little moments in between them. We thought it looked pretty good, but we can see where there might be some room for improvements.
David is the editor, and it took him quite a long time to edit episode 1.
Yes, but I learned a lot in the first episode, and based on feedback that we had already gotten from the community before we even saw this video, we're gonna implement some new stuff like some punch-ins, some cropping, and a couple of color correction things. I'm colorblind, so a little bit hard, but we'll get it done. So these are actually already things that we are tackling.
His second critique, if we understand it correctly, is that instead of having a whole set, we could have just had a backdrop.
This is the big kicker. This is what ticked me off the most. They had a budget of over $100,000 to work with. If this right here is all we're seeing, why did they have to get a set and not just use backdrops that they will all still be able to see and use?
And while that would have been cheaper, we wouldn't have had the incredible set and beautiful experience that Dark Hour provided for us.
The set is incredibly immersive. It's so beautiful and detailed. And in episode 1, we don't utilize it as much as we can, but in episode 2, we're gonna do more punch-ins, you're gonna see more of it. And I don't think that we would have given as good of a performance if we didn't have this immersive, beautiful set. A little back screen isn't gonna feel the same. The set was worth it.
And it was also really cool because we got to support a local company to build this awesome thing for us.
Dark Hour did such a good job on this set, and we've got plans with them in the future to make things even bigger and better. So forging this connection was crucial for the future of MinMaxed.
Dark Hour also did an incredible job of making this set to be able to be taken down and put back up so we can use it again in future seasons.
Yeah, this isn't a one-time set. We're gonna keep it around.
The next issue he brings up is that we should have used minis or terrain.
And logistically, that just wasn't possible for season 1.
But it was absolutely something that we were interested in doing and that we want to do in the future.
So for season 1, we decided to go digital because it allowed us to do a couple of things. One, we could show the map on the screen and all the players can interact with it from their tablet in real time, which was really cool and kept the game flowing.
But for future seasons, we are gonna try to upgrade.
The next issue that gets brought up is the logo.
The art. In total, the art cost them $2,000. The logo design is outrageous. I legitimately typed in M Sword into the search bar. That is their logo. That is the logo that they paid for. The two to the side are pictures that I found immediately on FreePic.
It's our understanding that he believes we overpaid.
Now, I'm a big supporter of paying artists what they ask for, and a lot more goes into making a logo than a lot of people think.
It's honestly a really long collaborative process between us and this artist and went through many itinerations before we got to the logo that we have.
The logo that he shows on screen is this up here, just the logo. And honestly, he clips a very small segment of it, so it doesn't look as good. It's a beautiful logo, and it also comes with the word mark. And it's not just that we have the logo, we can use it for merch, for dice, for future things. We own it, and that's the big thing. We paid the artists for their time, for their experience, and for the legal right to use it. And in the world of logo design, that's actually pretty cheap. Ask McDonald's how much they spend on getting their logo redone every once in a while. So we feel totally confident with the money we spent on the logo.
The next thing he brings up is some of the tech issues.
So we're gonna take a look at it one by one.
You could have bought 4 Logitech C920s, which are webcams, and you would have saved $665. I'm not sure what they mean by rec gear. It could just be the recording gear in general, but I don't know.
The video seems to claim that we should have used webcams instead of buying Osmos because webcams are cheaper. And while they are cheaper, they don't have as good of video quality. But even more so, I want to set the record straight and say that Sellsword Arts already owned all of those Osmos. We didn't buy any Osmos for MinMaxed. What we bought was some DJI Action Cam 6s. We had 2 cameras, but we had to buy 2 more that were gonna work in this specific setup because it's so small. We didn't want to go with big DSLRs because that would have blown the budget just on 2 cameras. So I went with smaller action cams, and we've got them recording to a big crazy NAS setup. Now the NAS we did not pay for with MinMax money. Sellsword Arts paid for that because we need that for our stuff. We're just like, hey, we'll use this. And we bought those. When we got to production, they didn't end up working. So instead, we used our tech team's other Osmos and a webcam that they had. So in fact, MinMax didn't spend any money on camera equipment, and we were able to return the stuff that we had bought. And next season, we're going to upgrade and have even better stuff.
And the reason there's a discrepancy between what you're hearing now and the update video we made before is that we didn't know they weren't gonna work.
In our budgeting video, we hadn't had a chance to hook everything up in the space. Actually, we had quite a few technical problems. The computer we were supposed to be using worked in the studio, but then didn't work in the space. Our tech team was so good. They found workarounds, they made everything work, and we're still very proud of the project we made, but we can see where there's some areas for improvement, so we're already in the process of looking at better tech, both for the visuals and the sound and everything else. We are taking it all into account, and we're hearing your feedback. We want this to be great for season 2, which is happening.
His next complaint is that we didn't need tablets at all.
But for the setup that we had, we actually did.
Because we went with the digital map, we wanted to give the players the ability to move their character around and view the map without having to look at terrain or have the DM walk around the table. Having the ability to look down at something that was already on our character sheet and the map made play go much more smoothly.
So using the tablets was absolutely worth it.
And in the future, we will be able to continue using them and integrate more of the features into what you see.
One of the issues we had is we wanted to be able to do a live feed of the character sheet to the project, but that didn't work out. But that doesn't mean it's not something we can do in post. Again, I'm learning as I go, and that's something that I'm hoping to put in the new episodes.
His next complaint is actually something we agree with, the audio.
We bought a set of microphones that had really good reviews, and we'd actually tested them before, and they worked fine.
And we fully intended to use the type of microphone we had because we thought we were going to be getting up more.
And that brings us to a little issue called the historic Texas ice storm. So it was very cold in the building, and we're gonna talk about that later, but we didn't get up as much as we wanted to. It also meant that we couldn't go change the audio setup after day 1 because the roads were impassable. We started filming when the snow started falling, and we ended when the roads finally started to get free. So there was really not much we could do to it. I am doing my best in post-production to save as much of the audio as I can.
We were able to return those microphones and reinvest that money into season 2.
And we're gonna have better tech setup for season 2. That is a big thing that we're working on. So everything that didn't work got reinvested back into the campaign to get something better for season 2. Another thing gets brought up is the lighting setup we had.
They also showed off the lighting. They said they spent $1,300 on lighting. It would have cost them $1,000. I'm upset at this compared to what my thing is.
And I think there is a little bit of confusion on this, so let us tell you what the lighting setup was.
We bought 4 lights for the players so you can see our faces.
All of the lights that you see above that are casting light into the room were provided by Sellsword Arts. We already own those. We didn't spend any money on that. So actually, the recommendation that he makes in the video is the one that we did. I don't really understand the discrepancy about how much money that should have been. That's the price of the equipment.
If we're hearing it correctly, it seems like he thinks that we used the fans' money to buy all of the tech.
When in reality, Sellsword Arts probably provided about 80% of the tech from stuff that we already had that we bought personally. We tried to keep expenses on the MinMax channel as low as possible, but still producing a good season.
So in total, what Sellsword Arts provided was the soundboard, half of the mics, most of the lighting, the computer, the NAS for storage, most of the cameras, and a lot of other odds and ends.
Additionally, we returned $3,000 of what MinMax spent on equipment that didn't end up working.
In fact, I think we returned the majority of the tech part of the budget, and we can use that for new seasons. So MinMax really didn't spend a lot on tech for season.
And now we can talk a little bit more about the ice storm, because it just so happened that the 3 days we planned to film this were the exact 3 days that the ice storm was at its worst.
We had some awesome handlers who were doing a great job of getting everybody safely from the hotel to the venue, which was about a 4-minute drive, but we didn't feel safe sending them anywhere else.
So we couldn't go back to the studio or get more tech or really change anything. We were stuck with what we had there, and our tech team was awesome, and they did a great job of making this a really good production. There's another thing that the ice storm did, and that is, I don't know if you guys can see it, but Dark Hour is a giant warehouse, and they don't really have adequate heating. So inside that building, as we're playing D&D, it is between a maximum of 45 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very cold. Hopefully when we film the next season, which we already have scheduled for sometime in July, it will be a little bit warmer in Texas.
A lot of it warmer.
And you'll see a lot more of all of us goobers doing all of our martial arts and demonstrating what we're doing.
One of the most damaging claims this video seems to claim, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that the producers of MinMax are trying to take the fans' money and run with it.
The remaining budget for future seasons is $47,321. People donated to this series, and if it did well, they were gonna make other seasons. That's what I got out of those videos. They spent 1/3 of their budget for season 1, the one thing that everyone wanted to see, and they're holding the rest as a just in case.
This is not the case.
We did a budgeting video that was very transparent. In fact, most of the information that he gets comes from our budgeting video because we're trying to be transparent about where we're putting the money. And when we say producers,
It's just us.
it's just us.
We did not hire a production company or a production manager. It was just mostly you two doing all of the work on your own.
Megan and myself are the ones who set up most of the logistics, figured out the tech. I'm doing the editing for a couple of reasons.
Number one, we didn't want to throw all of this money at season 1. We can't tell a good enough story in that amount of time.
By holding back the money that we did, we guarantee future seasons. And I know in the video he kind of claims that it's only if season 1 does well, but that's not the case. We held it back in case season 1 doesn't do well. We are guaranteed another season, and I think another season after that, because we saved the money. We can keep going. And by keeping the costs low, by editing it in-house, by not having a bunch of middlemen and producers, we also get to spend your money even more wisely.
One of the things he says in the comments that we should have ended the GoFundMe sooner because we blew our budget out of the water. And it was live for less than a week. We ended it while we were away at Thanksgiving with our families.
We set this thing up, and we originally had a goal of 10K just to buy plane tickets. And then we modified the goal to 20 when we saw we might hit that. And then we kind of didn't look at it, and it exploded. And we actually ended it, I think, within 4 days because we didn't want a ballooning budget. And we decided that we were going to take that money and we're going to split it over multiple seasons so that we could give you a lot of cool D&D.
And lastly, none of the creators have been paid out of that GoFundMe.
No, all of that money is going back to the season. We're not getting paid yet. We're going to be paid off of the AdSense and everything else. And we're going to be paid equally. We're going to have 8 shares, 1 to each creator and 1 to the business. But Megan and I are not taking extra money for producing. We are putting our time into this, extra time, because we believe in this project so much and we want it to succeed and we care about it.
So this is definitely not a cash grab. None of the creators have even been paid for this yet.
No.
He talks about he has no hate to the creators and is mostly about the producers, but again, there was no producers. David and Megan did this entire thing basically on their own.
We had a lot of help from the other creators when it came to like ideas for the campaign and stuff, but logistics were mostly handled by us. And it hurts. Like we really did try. None of this was any shortcomings that might have happened didn't come from a place of malice. It was us trying our best and maybe not meeting your expectations. And we are sorry about that, and we are trying to do better. It's just kind of hurtful to have this be the first video about MinMax when we tried this hard.
And I want to talk a little bit about the budget and the expectations.
It seems like he was expecting a professional D&D production level quality.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to pull off a crit roll season 3 production level with the experience we have and the budget that we have.
And we weren't going to try.
No, we were trying to do what we said we were going to do, bring all of our people together and create a cool game and try and make it multiple seasons.
The other thing he says is that it's stupid of us to release every other week and that we should be releasing every week.
Around 12 to 14 episodes airing every other week for about 6 months. Do you guys not know how YouTube works? Like, no! If people are hyped for this, man, you want to get those videos out. You're going to lose so much traction by doing this.
Yeah, he seems to think that the hype's going to run out if it's an every other week thing, but we had 3 days to film and we got quite a bit done, but that won't last until the next filming session.
And we want to make sure that you have content from MinMax all the way up until we start season 2.
Doing every other week allows us to stretch that content for 6 months and also gives me time to edit it because I'm the only one editing this whole thing.
It takes a while.
It does. Look, I can really understand if somebody was expecting a crit role level of production, if you see $100,000 and you think that can make a lot of stuff, if you have these expectations and you get something you weren't expecting, it can be a big downer. And I really feel for you if you were expecting something or you donated and you didn't get what you want. And I am sorry that we couldn't give you that. We really, really are. We want this to be as good as it can be, and we're working to make it better.
We really need to reiterate that unlike these production big D&D games, this is none of our full-time jobs.
All of us took time out of our production schedule to come do this. One of the reasons that it was such a tight campaign was because that's all people could afford. 5 days away from their families, their jobs, their content. That's a lot to ask of people when this isn't even guaranteed to make them any money. Everybody did this on the promise that we're gonna make something cool and we might get something back, but no one has been guaranteed a cent from this. We're doing it because we love it.
A big point that kept coming up is that the production was rushed.
Did you guys have to plan, film, and edit this so quickly?
There's this feeling that we should have waited longer, or we should have had more time to film or plan or test out equipment.
We had actually already picked this production date before we even launched the GoFundMe.
The production wasn't really rushed. We knew months ahead of time when it was gonna be, but it was tight because people's availability was very small.
Plus, all the people we were flying in have jobs outside of just creating content. All of them do other things as well.
Jack has a full schedule of performances that he does. Blumenek not only has another job, but he has a family to take care of, and Ben runs a dojo, has a job, and is a content creator. No one has weeks just to dedicate to something that might not make them any money.
One of the major disappointments that some of our viewers have said is that they were expecting live action.
In their other Q&A, they say, will there be any live action scenes? Yes, but not for season 1. Not for the season that people donated for.
And we understand how you would be disappointed if that's what you were expecting.
I understand how it could be frustrating because we're all the combat guys, and if you thought that's what you were gonna get and you didn't, it could be disappointing.
It's important to note that that's not one of the promises that we made because we knew we couldn't deliver that in season 1.
And we know you want to see us as D&D characters.
So we're gonna play ourselves.
And we want to do some really cool things like build a set.
And have a cool video setup.
With cool angles and stuff.
Buy me a flight so I don't have to swim.
Make cool character art of us. And minis.
And if things go well, we'll even do a second campaign.
At its core, this is gonna be a fun D&D game with all your favorite weirdos from the internet. We've got a team that's gonna help us record, edit, and produce this at a high quality. We've got artists who are gonna come and help bring this world to life. We've got set designers who are gonna make it so it's immersive and fun. And instead of this being a one-off fun D&D game, now, as you can see by our brand new YouTube page, this is gonna be a whole thing. We're planning multiple seasons, but we are working on it for season 2. We've already talked about how we want to go back and do the highlights of this campaign now that we have the whole thing, and we'll have a little bit more time in the production next season. Also, we're trying to incorporate more physicality into the D&D when it's not freezing in the studio. And I know that's not much compensation if you were really expecting it in this season, but we're hoping the small in-between things we've been doing will make up for that.
And even this isn't us promising we'll do more of it in future seasons. We want to try, but we don't know if it's even possible.
This campaign is evolving as it goes, and we're being careful about what we can and can't promise, but we really want you to know that we love what we're doing and we want to make it better, and we're going to do everything that we can to do that.
Now, he's since taken this out of the video, but when we saw it, it was in there, so we're going to take the time to respond to it.
And he brings up the fact that we should have just done this in the studio. But if you've actually seen Seltzer Art Studio, it's not that big. And at the time, I had my bed in the middle of it, so we couldn't have really done that.
And another thing he suggested was that we do the live action scenes here in the studio, when in reality, that's an hour away with no traffic from dark hour, and we were in the middle of an ice storm. It wasn't safe to travel.
Yeah, this happened in the middle of the ice storm. I think there was some confusion about when the ice storm was. The ice storm made the roads impassable about 3 or 4 days, and that was exactly when we were filming. We did not have an opportunity to leave except to go to the little hotel.
Plus, even if there was the opportunity to, all of our filming equipment was being used for min-bags, so our studio didn't have any of that.
We had to gut our studio to make sure min-bags had enough stuff without buying too much.
It would have basically been a dark box. His final claim is that our production was pathetic.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about how you might feel or how he might feel looking at our work, but I think it's important to talk about how we feel. This was a big project and we put a lot of passion and work into it, and we are still very proud of this project, and we know that it's going to grow and get better as we continue. But having this first response from the community be so negative and harsh and at times almost cruel is really rough.
For me, I just feel sad. I think myself, I put a lot of work into this in the time before and during the event. And even more so, I feel sad for all the creators involved who have to see this. They worked hard, they took time out of their schedules, they came here and they had a great time playing D&D with their friends. And they wanted to share that just as much as we did. And to get this kind of feedback only 24 hours after we put out episode 1 really hurts.
These two handled a lot of the production, so I was much more on just the actor side, and it did feel kind of unwelcoming. This is the first D&D content we've ever done, and we had a blast, and we were frankly proud of what we did.
I have a bunch of feelings about this, and I don't want to go on too long, but I want to say that it's fine for the fans to tell us that they didn't like something or they want something changed. Give us our feedback. But content creators have a responsibility. You have a platform, and you need to curate that platform in such a way that create a positive space. He says he's trying to look out for the D&D community, and that says to me that he's not welcoming me into the D&D community, that I'm somehow an outside threat to it.
Now, he says that this was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and it sounded like he had legitimate concerns about what other people have done.
I am sick and tired of seeing creators and events take advantage of this very vulnerable community. It makes me so upset, and I am tired of being nice and not saying anything. I am tired of not saying anything. The Convergence? Yeah, that event that was hosted back in 2022 by some of the most biggest TikTok creators back then in the D&D space. You really want to know what they said about you guys behind the scenes?
That wasn't us. We don't know what he's talking about. And it seems just weird that we were his first target.
This isn't the first time this has happened to me. I've had people try and use a fabricated drama to get clicks and create kind of a boost to their channel, and I don't like it. I don't like doing it. I don't like making these videos, but I do think that we owe it to our fans to explain how we produce this, because we want you to watch it. We want you to feel comfortable. And to this person, I want to ask, why didn't you reach out to us? Because we actually have had communication with this person before. They reached out to us and asked if we would collaborate with them months ago, and we said yes. We went back and forth, and they kind of didn't respond, and we let it go. In fact, he also has contacted Blumenek before in a Discord. He has ways that he could have reached out to us. There's an official min-maxed email. He says that he would have given us this advice, but we published that budget video months ago. We didn't hear anything. We didn't hear anything until it was this video basically attacking everything that we tried to do. And it makes me feel frustrated and unwelcome and demoralized, because I have to continue and edit the rest of the season. I'm not gonna give up. But now all of those cool things that I thought about to make this campaign better, the punch-ins, fixing the audio, doing all these other things, are they my ideas anymore? Is it gonna come across that way? Or is it just gonna be, oh, he's listening to this guy's rant? We are listening to the community. We are trying to make changes, and I wish that we had had more than 24 hours to try and implement them. I want to make sure they don't make this too negative, because I don't want to happen to him what's happened to me now and what's happened to me in the past. I don't want all of our fans to flood into his comment section and be negative and hate on him. He's done this from a place of passion. He cares about the D&D community, and that's a good thing. I just feel like he should have contacted us or done a little bit more research first, but, you know, to err is human.
And this is a great time to talk about things that he didn't bring up that we have heard from you guys, like adding in closed captions.
We do want to add in closed captions. For the first season, it was a little bit over budget. There's a lot of audio and a lot of dialogue, but it is something that we're going to try and implement in the second season.
Another thing we've heard requests for is podcast audio.
That's something I'm working on, but I want to make the sound mix a little bit better before I put it in a podcast. But it is something that we are trying to do.
A lot of people also wanted a dice cam.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do that.
Yeah, we did want a dice cam. We just kind of ran out of cameras. But in the next season, like we said, we're gonna have more camera setups and more cool stuff.
There's also a couple of minor changes to the way that we edited the video, and those are things we're going to do, like mirroring Tater.
Yeah, mirroring Tater, doing some color correction, doing some other stuff. Please allow me a little bit of grace to fail and learn from my mistakes so I can make this better.
And with all that said, we really hope that you continue to enjoy season 1 and know that we've already booked season 2.
We've already got the venue, we've already got the hotels paid for, we're in the process of the flights, all the creators are thinking about it and coming up with cool ideas, and every episode of season 1 is hopefully gonna get better and better as I learn to edit better, I guess. So with all of that said, we know that there are some of you who weren't happy or were disappointed with the way that the first episode went. And we ask you, please give us time to make some of those corrections, and that we hear you and we're working on it. And to all of those who loved season 1's first episode, please keep enjoying the rest of it. We don't want this to be a negative thing. Overall, we're so happy with the product that we made, and we're so excited to do a new one. We don't want you guys to think that we're having a downer. We just felt like it was a good opportunity to address the fans, because it is all for you. All of this is because of you and for you. We are being the best stewards of your money that we can. We want to make this multiple seasons. We want to make this bigger and better. Please allow us the room to grow, to fail, to learn, and to keep making you more min-maxed.
So thank you.